I don't know if you've noticed that there's a lot of negative people in the world. Have you noticed this? He's like, yes, I have. Here's the other thing. This is scary. Negative people find other negative people to date, and you know what happens? They marry them. Oh, my, my. And you know what else is happening? These people are breeding. They're breeding. They're having negative children. Oh, it's a colony. And those negative people, their goal is to sneak right up behind you, bite you in the neck, because they're energy-sucking vampires, and just drain the living life right out of you. I'll tell you a little bit of a story about my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law's name is Charles E. Glisson, Jr. Lives in the budding metropolis of Bainbridge, Georgia. Yeah, all right. Go Bainbridge, yeah. Ooh, 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 ooh. If you're a world traveler, you've been to Bainbridge, Georgia. How many of you are world travelers here? Okay, one. We have one world traveler. Now, Charles E. Glisson, at the time I met him, he's my brother-in-law, but he was a gas man. He worked for the gas utility in town. Now, he happened to be on vacation one year, and he was visiting with me. He was sitting in my living room, and he was doing something I can only describe as whining. You know what I mean when I say whining, right? You have people, you know people that do this? Yes, Sean, some of the members of my family, but that's a whole other story, right? Now, my house, unbeknownst to Charles, is a whine-free zone. So he's sitting, oh, I don't like my job, and my boss, and the pay, and the working condition that's so hot, and the uniform, and da-da-da. I said, stop. Stop. And here's a question. I asked him two questions, and both of them kind of blew his mind. Question number one was, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And he Scooby-Dooed me then. You know what I mean when I say that? He went, huh? 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 What do you mean, what do I want to do? What's that have to do with anything? Well, you have the choice to decide what you want to do. Got real quiet all of a sudden, right? Second question. Charles, when you were laying in bed, and you were 10 years old, laying in bed looking up at the ceiling, what did you dream of doing? Well, it's kind of silly. It's kind of silly. I don't know. I don't know if it's... No, what is it? Well, I kind of wanted to be a police officer. What's silly about that? I don't know. You know, kind of silly. I don't know. Third question. Why aren't you? Ooh, he didn't like that question at all. He actually got mad, and he went into the gotchas. Got your mortgage, got your family, got your wife, right? Got your bills. I said, what's that have to do with anything? If you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. Goes home. 2 weeks later, I get this phone call. Sean, guess what? You'll never believe it. I said, try me. He said, do you know what happened? I went down and I talked to the city manager. And because I'm a city employee, do you know what he told me? What's that? He told me that they will pay to send me to the police academy. Because I'm already an employee of the city. And they'll pay me while I'm going to the police academy. I'm like, see? Then we had step 2. Step 2 is he had to pass a physical exam, which was a physical requirement, which was to run 2 miles in a certain amount of time. I was concerned. My brother-in-law at that time was not exactly built for speed, if you know what I'm saying, right? It's like 280, about 6'4". He was, as they say in Georgia, he's a big boy, right? So he went down to take his test. Police chief standing there with the stopwatch and said, Charles, are you ready, son? That's what they say in Georgia. Are you ready, son? He says, yes, I am. He says, you sure you're ready? He says, yes, I am. Click, click. And my brother-in-law runs. And he runs. And he runs. And this is his whole life in front of him. My gosh, this is his whole life. This is a dream since he was 10 years old. I got to make it. I got to make it. I'm running. I'm going crazy. I'm running. I'm sweating. And his heart is pounding. And he falls right across the finish line. Whew. Exhausted. Police chief looks up at him, clicks it, and says, congratulations, son, you missed it by 1 second. Oh. But Sean, I have good news. I'm like, there's good news? What would that be? Well, he was so impressed that a guy my size could work that hard. he's giving me another chance next weekend. What should I do? And I said, rest, young man. Rest. So he went down the next Saturday, and boy, he was going to go for it if it killed him. He went down, and he ran, and he ran, and he ran. It's everything in front of him. All my dreams, all my life, all my ambitions, everything I ever wanted to do falls across the finish line. Police chief clicks the watch, looks up at him, big bead of sweat running down his forehead, and says, congratulations, son, you made it by 1 second. But he made it. The city sent him to the police academy to become a police officer. Finished in the top 10% of his class. Now today, if you go to Bainbridge, Georgia, you'll not see Charles E. Glisson, gas man. You'll see Charles E. Glisson, Officer Charles E. Glisson. Live a life of balance. Do you think this is a problem in our country? I'm at Rehoboth Beach. How many of you have ever been to Rehoboth Beach? Just want you to get the picture. I'm out. The sun is just coming up. And I'm running along the boardwalk. You know, a lot of these people out there, the irritating people, they're running out on the boardwalk, right? I'm running out on the boardwalk. I'm running. I see this woman sitting on a bench, looking out at the ocean, and the sun's just coming up. And I thought to myself, that's really a cool little scene. This woman sitting just by herself with her thoughts, thinking about her life, watching the sun come up. As I get closer, I realize she has a BlackBerry in her hand. Answering emails, looking out at the sun, multitasking. What's wrong with that, people? That is a tragedy. If you can't go to the beach and watch the sun come up without being on your BlackBerry, you have a problem.